Hello, I'm Scott Klusendorf. Welcome to Life is Best. If you've had an abortion or participated in one, let's talk about your feelings. And let's start with the biggest one of all, guilt.
Professional counselors have said that it's almost a universal reaction among parents that when a child dies for any reason, those parents will experience guilt. Somehow we know that even if we had no control over the circumstances, we're the last line of defense of life or death for our children. And after the circumstance of abortion, we can experience guilt that is so long-lasting we feel we may never be free of it.
I am no fool. There are murderers among us. And so at the same time that I prophetically and boldly and courageously say abortion is murder, I also need to step into this space knowing that we are guilty of it. Many of us are guilty of it. And maybe we weren't the ones that had the abortion. Maybe we coerced and pressed somebody to have the abortion or just paid for the abortion. I need to say to you, listen to me. Where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. So hear me, for you mathletes, let's talk about this. So where the volume of sin increases, right? We know volume. Where the volume of sin increases, the volume of grace always abounds much more. And so what we know from the scriptures is that God does not look at murder, even the murder of a baby, as some sort of disqualifying sin when it comes to his grace, mercy, and forgiveness.
There's a reason you feel like this is a big deal. It's because abortion is a big deal. You were the last line of defense for your child, and you feel like you've betrayed your child. But if you look at the gospel, your problem is actually a lot worse than that. You might be thinking, how can that be? How could I have done anything worse than what I did to my own child? But you see, the Bible doesn't say that we merely do bad things. It says we are bad by nature. The Bible is clear that God created a good world, but we rebelled against our King. We set ourselves up as God, and God, who had every right to destroy the race for its rebellion against Him, does the unthinkable. He sends Jesus, the sinless one, to bear in full the judgment we deserve. You know what I call that? Really good news. And boy, do we need it, because you and I are a whole lot worse than we think. We think our sin is isolated to one act we did maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, maybe last night. And we tend to take all of our feelings about the bad stuff in us and put it on that one act we did. But the Bible actually tells a different story. We are by nature enemies of God. And the biggest problem confronting you right now is not just that act of abortion. It's the same problem I have. The biggest problem you have is you're a rebel, and until your faith is in Jesus, that's what you remain. Now, God deals with rebels very graciously when they repent. Think of Peter. Peter denied Christ 3 times. He didn't just abandon his child, he abandoned and denied his Lord. And yet Jesus comes to Peter, doesn't ignore his sin, but graciously restores him, and he went on to have fruitful ministry for his Lord, even being willing to die for his Lord. And you know what? When the gospel impacts your life, God not only forgives your sin, He not only adopts you into His family, He releases you to life-affirming ministry.